Everyone, listen. I got big news, alright? If you didn't know this, this is going to be very surprising, alright? The number 2 and the number 9 are at war with each other, alright? There is literally a battle going on, alright? 2 versus 9. Place your bets. Who's going to win? I don't know. But you know what? Since we're talking about 2 and 9, let's go over a few things, all right? That's a bit of a talk about a bit of a theory or a bit of an idea or a process that we can go off of this, all right? And you know what? To make it fun, let's make it a One Piece video, all right? I figure that's the way to do it, all right? All right. So yes, this will be a One Piece video and stuff like that, focusing on 2 and 9, such as 29 or 2 and 9 separately, right? It's like we're bringing these things together, right? But seriously, they are at war with each other, all right? Also, at the end of the video, please, go ahead, put a comment down below on who you think will win. Will it be 2 or 9? 2 versus 9! Whose side are you on? I am the referee for this amazing battle that's going on. Now, let's get on to the actual process of the video, shall we? Alright, so yes, this will basically be a One Piece video, right? And in this video, I'm going to go over the concept of the missing Devil Fruit number 29, alright? Now, before I actually get into the context of the video and how this is actually going to evolve into a 2 versus 9 concept, please bear with me as I go over a few things, okay? Now, while I should mention necessarily that Oda doesn't necessarily have to go with the whole 29 Devil Fruit number if he doesn't want to, alright? Oda's done such a fine job of the way he's doing it now that, to me, doesn't really feel like there's any reason for it to come into play. Now, that's not me going against it by saying that I'm not okay with it. It's just me basically pointing out and stating that Oda is doing fine with the story that he's established right now, that I feel like there's no need for it, but if Oda is going to go with it, then I can still accept it, alright? So it's kind of like that scenario. Now, I did basically wrote down and basically went over these few things necessarily. Now, I think the easiest way I should go over this is with the Straw Hats Devil Fruits right now, right? So the ones with the Straw Hats with Devil Fruits right now, all right? All right, so we have Luffy with the NekoNekonomi, all right? Now, keep in mind, we did find out that his Devil Fruit's real name is the InuInunomi Mono Nika, okay? However, we're focusing on the main central Devil Fruits with the number patterns necessary, right? And we're not referring to, say, like subtype categories, right? Take for instance, both Chopper and Luffy have the Hitonomi, except Luffy has a mystical type necessarily compared to Chopper, right? We're only focusing on the main name of the Devil Fruit necessarily, right? So Luffy's Devil Fruit, and Oda even basically confirmed that yes, despite Luffy's Devil Fruit real name being the Hitonomi, you can still use the NekoNekonomi as regards to it. So it really doesn't matter, right? So to go over this necessarily, let's look at the current Straw Hats with their Devil Fruits and stuff like that. Alright, so we have Luffy with the NekoNekonomi, Chopper who has the Hitonomi, Robin who has the Hana-Hana-Nomi, and Brook who has the Yumi-Yumi-Nomi, okay? Now, what I basically want to go over and sort of explain to this, and you know, when you think about it, if you add all these up, when you look at the Devil Fruit numbers to these, so take for instance, Luffy's Gomu is 56, alright? Chopper's Hito is 110. Robin's Hana is 87, and Brook's Yomi is 43, alright? Now, if you add all those up together, it becomes 296, alright? And if you add 29 to that, it becomes 325. And if you translate the Gorosei to that into Japanese, it becomes Sunny Go, which is a reference to, like, Sunny Go. Now, another thing I want to point out is something very interesting when you think about it, okay? Now, there is a few things to go over and sort of explain why a 29 Devil Fruit might happen or might not happen, okay? So take, for instance, let's look at Luffy's and Chopper's Devil Fruit, okay? Now, both of their Devil Fruits features an odd number going to an even number, or also features the number preceding number going to a higher number, okay? So take, for instance, Luffy's Devil Fruit is Gomu 5 and 6, alright? So basically, it features an odd number going to an even number, or Chopper's has an odd number going to an even number, 1 to 10, alright? And you also have Robin's and Brooks, which theirs basically follows the same thing, but a bit of a reverse, alright? So Robin's features an even number going to an odd number, and also features that Brooks and Robin's Devil Fruit actually features their first numbers higher than the preceding numbers, okay? So, for instance, Robin's is Hana 87, so 8 being higher than 7, okay? See where I'm getting at this? So when you think about it and look at it, that you can sort of see a bit of a pattern here that Oda has already gotten two people of similar situations to this one and two similar to this, right? That's 2 and 2 for 4. So it would also, when you think about it, it would basically come to the play and realization is like, okay, well, does that mean that it will be 29 or could it be 92 or just saying, could it be both, right? Could we be getting both? Which I believe would be 417. Now, what that actually translates into a Gorosei Japanese word, I'm not really sure, but just basically going over with, okay? Now, I actually wrote down an entire list. So I went over like a lot of Japanese Gorosei. I went over like a lot of Japanese Gorosei that I could find necessarily. Now, I should probably mention that I'm not a real Japanese expert, right? So please do not so I'm not trying to necessarily spread misinformation like that, trying to cause any troubles or anything like that. But I did try and look up as much Japanese Gorosei as I could find to truly get an understanding of like how many ideas in Gorosei that you can go over, okay? And I did find quite a few lists and stuff like that, and I wrote it all down on a piece of paper, and I'm actually going to have it up here on a list. So I'm going to basically show the list. That way you can basically see it for yourself, okay? So I basically took the entire concept of every combination of Japanese Gorosei of the numbers 29, all right? And I only went with the 29, all right? I was getting a little, my hands were getting a little tired trying to do the whole, doing all of them like that because like there were a lot of them. Also, before I necessarily really get into something, there is one thing I want to mention first, right? So this is kind of important, okay? So for a long time, when the whole number aspects of the Delphi came into play, a lot of people sort of asked, will Kuma become a new Delphi? Will Kuma basically become a member of the tribe because he has the NekoNekonomi, all right? Now, one thing I want to mention here, and this is pretty interesting when you think about it, that every single one of Oda's Delphi characters that he has and stuff like that have been focusing on 4-letter words, right? So, take for instance, Luffy's has 4 letters, right? Gomu. Same thing with Chopper, Hito. Robin's the same thing. Hana. Brooks, Yomi. Get it? Also, I want to point out that another thing to go over necessarily is how Oda's doing the numbers and stuff like that. So when Oda is going with the Japanese numbers, he's basically sticking to the main central Japanese numbers and stuff like that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean or say that Oda can't go with more of a number pun, but but might not be officially or establishedly well versed and stuff like that. Like it might not be known exactly, but it could still be used, right? So there's nothing to say that, right? But looking at the Delphi numbers necessarily and how the numbers are going for, it's more likely that it's going off the regular Japanese counting system, or even like basically the counting system asking how many things you have, okay? So take for instance, go comes from the Japanese word go, meaning 5. Mu comes from mutsu, which is basically referring to 6 things, all right? Hito, while the Japanese word for counting things can be hitotsu, or even just Hito, you can take he from 1 and then to from 10, okay? Then you have hana, which basically comes from hachi from 8, and na from like nanatsu, or even nana. You have yomi, being like from yotsu or yon, and mi being from mitsu, okay? Okay, so now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to put up the entire list right now, okay? And as I said before, I only focused on the 29 list only, okay? Now, I went over every single combination of 29 Delphi thing I could think of and matched and went over and calculated everything. So everything is on the list, okay? And when I was basically going over this and trying to think very carefully, I noticed something very interesting, that there were actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've discovered that there were 5 people in the One Piece world, basically 5 people in the entire One Piece world who have the 29 number Delphi in their name based on this Japanese Gorosei numbers I was getting off the numbers 29, okay? Okay, and now look, am I saying necessarily that these people are going to join the Strike Crew, that these are going to be the ones? No, but could it happen? Am I against it? It could happen. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Am I against it? No, not really. But to me, the way the character is established now and how they are, it just doesn't necessarily feel right. Okay, I'm not going to actually tell you who these characters are because I want to basically see if you can see them for yourself. Okay. Also, a bit of a point out here that there is a reference to an Avatar character. If everyone's familiar with the original, not the James Cameron Avatar, I'm referring to the Nickelodeon show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and like that. There is a reference to a character in here that if anyone's a big fan of Avatar, let's see if you can find the name. Okay. So now we got that out of the way. Right, I basically went over that. So has everyone got a chance to review the list and stuff like that? I hope so, because I don't want to leave it up too long, all right? I want to be able to move on with the video and talk about other things, all right? We still got to go over this, and we still got to decide who's going to be the benefactor, who's going to win this fight, all right? Seriously, whose side are you on? Are you on Team 2 or Team 9, all right? This is a battle royale. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, we basically went over that. So, okay, so going after everything I just said about the 4 letters and stuff like that. So going after this and basically sticking to the main central counting numbers and stuff like that, the main number systems in Japanese. Okay, so I came across there are 4 possibilities, right? And to make it simple, to make it easier and stuff like that, I'll even like throw in a bit of a 92, a bit of reverse. Okay, so we have Niku, not to be confused with Kuma's devil fruit Nikyu, but Niku. Niku, okay? Now, Niku can actually translate into meat. However, it can also translate into flesh, right? And to be honest, I feel like this would be something like, to me, I feel like the Niku fruit would be called a meat fruit, but it might have something to do with actual flesh. Now, how that could actually work, I don't know, all right? Then you have the NekoNekonomi, which is actually Kinemon's devil fruit, right? Kinemon's devil fruit is basically the clothes fruit, allowing him to make clothes. Then you have the NekoNomi, not to be confused with the character of Nico Robin, but Niko, Niko. Niko, or basically an onomatopoeia, Niko can actually mean smile. Then you have Fuko. See, there were quite a few things I found across Fuko, such as Fukoku, which I believe translates into something like edict, all right? So this could be something like, say like, edict could be like giving a command or basically giving an order, all right? It's basically like giving a decree of something. So think of it as something like that, all right? And there were quite a few other things as well, but I feel like that edict fruit really simplifies something really establishing by that, by giving a decree, by giving an order or that basically demands something. Now let's look at this another way and think of it as a 92 instead of a 29. All right. So for an opposite reference, we have kuni. Kuni can actually translate into country. Now, I'm not exactly sure how anyone would make a devil fruit out of that, how that would actually work. I mean, country fruit. I don't really know. I don't got anything for that. Kufu Nami. I couldn't think of any. I couldn't really find anything featuring Kufu. I couldn't think of anything. So if anyone out there is a real Japanese expert or might know something they used off of Kufu, please feel free to leave a comment down below because I got nothing. Then we have Koni, which I could have sworn I thought of something for Koni, but I'm just now realizing that I forgot it and I didn't even write it down. So let's move on. And lastly, we have Kofu, which yeah. So I got nothing. I'm at a brick wall here. It's like, okay, so, all right, so after that whole 29 devil fruit thing I just basically discussed and everything I basically just mentioned. Now, you're probably asking is like, okay, well, you're basically establishing some pretty interesting things and going over a few things. Now, as I was saying, Oda doesn't necessarily have to go with this 29, all right? It doesn't necessarily have to happen, doesn't necessarily need to be, because Oda has given plenty of good reasons why it could happen and why it cannot happen, but also giving a great story to go along with it. Now, why am I bringing this up, okay? Well, there is something interesting to go over and something very interesting to think about, very well established, right? Now, let me basically run the clock back here. Oda did reveal a certain character with the number 9, all right? Who is this? Katarina Devon, all right? Oda basically revealed to us that Katarina Devon has the InuInunomi mythical type model, or Kyubi no Kitsune, basically the 9-tailed fox. Now, why am I bringing this up, okay? Well, did you know in Japanese mythology and folklore, there are actually two animals, right? In Japanese mythology, there are two, well, I mean, there are other ones as well, but the two most famous ones that have multiple tails is the Mataneko, or Nekomata, and the Kyubi no Kitsune, all right? The Nekomata basically features a cat with 2 tails, right? Or basically a forked cat. And the Kyubi no Kitsune is the 9-tailed fox, right? These are 2 animals in Japanese mythology that is well known and is one of the most one of the most famous ones in Japanese mythology that have multiple tails. There are other ones as well and stuff like that, but a lot of times these 2 are basically given like some of the biggest highlights, right? They are practically really, really known necessary, right? They're the ones like if you were to ask someone this question, it would be like they would answer like Kyubi or even Nekomata first, and everything else would rise up again, would basically fall behind, okay? So it's kind of like that in a way. Okay. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, think about it, all right? with Kyrie Devon having the nine-tailed fox, imagine if in this situation, if basically she fought against someone who has a two-tailed devil fruit, right? And there is a basic, and what if Oda introduces us the possibility of having a two-tailed cat? Now, there's something interesting I want to go over this. Is like, wait a minute, hold on, back up. Are you trying to tell us? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Are you now understanding what I'm saying? Like, do you possibly get what I'm trying to get at? Oh my goodness, guys. I gotta pause this right now. You're obviously pausing the video. You're obviously getting on your phones. You're obviously just chatting and talking away, telling, guys, listen to this. This is big. You won't believe what I just discovered. Or that's what you're apparently doing right now. I can't see it, but I get the feeling that's what you're doing. Okay, I'm probably going crazy at this point, and everyone's probably, and people are probably just turning on their videos like, oh my god, why was I listening to this guy? This guy needs help. He's gone insane. It's like, I got insane. I got insane. Okay, enough fun. So yes, going over with it and basically featuring a two-tailed cat going against the nine-tailed fox, okay? And which character has been referred to as a cat unnecessarily, all right? Or has basically been established as a cat. Who else than the one and only Nami? Yes, very, very beautiful Nami. Now, look, I shouldn't necessarily mention something very important here, okay? Nami, the way Oda gave Nami her powers up and gave her Zeus and stuff like that, we don't necessarily need a Delphi Nami, all right? And to be honest, there's no reason that Nami needs a Delphi, right? I feel like Oda can really deliver a great storyline even without giving Nami a Delphi, right? Would I hate it and would I be against it? No. If Oda establishes a great story that basically explains why this has to come into play, then it is something that I can accept, okay? But I will mention that the way everything's going so far, it doesn't feel like it really needs it, but I can still accept it as long as Oda gives us a great reason for why it needs to be, okay? Now, I basically did a lot of searching on basically two-tailed animals necessary, and I actually came across a few things, okay, to basically go over situations, okay. So then let's go over like the whole concept of like why an animal gets multiple tails, all right. So I basically discovered something very interesting that it basically says in Japanese mythology that when a certain animal has lived for a long period of time, the more tails it gains basically describes how long it's lived, okay. So now, is that an accurate thing? Is that basically just something that was just given? Most likely, all right? But if that's what we're basically led to believe, and if that's how it necessarily is led to work, then I guess that's what we have to accept, okay? Now, I actually came across quite a few feline-themed animals that represent two tails, okay? So, for instance, one could be the two-tailed tiger. Now, where is there a two-tailed tiger mythology? There isn't actually one in actual mythology. However, there is a painting, all right? So there is a painting, and the tiger is called the magic two-tailed tiger, okay? And it is a painting that was drawn by, I'm sorry if I'm butchering this name wrong, but I believe the name is pronounced Utagawa Kunitsuna. And it basically features a painting of a man who goes by Sato Masakiyo hunting the famous magic two-tailed tiger, okay? Now, interesting I'm bringing this up because I got other things to go over necessarily, okay? Now, there were, in the One Piece log editions, all right? In the One Piece logs, things like that, on Nami's log, on the 5th log, it features Nami with a lion, all right? A white lion, okay? Now, I actually discovered something very interesting here, that in African folklore and stuff like that, it's basically described that that the white lions are basically children of the sun god, okay? And this like really caught my attention when I was like, oh my goodness, like that is something huge. That could be something that Oda could work with. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that Oda's going to go in that same children route, but it could probably go into another route, okay? It just defines how it would be used and how you can see it necessarily, okay? So basically going over as the fact that Oda is giving Nami is featuring Nami lion, I feel like a lion would be the best representative of it than the tiger, okay? Not saying I'm against the tiger, but I feel like a lion would be best established, okay? Now, what is an idea that we can look forward to, okay? So, all right, so I did mention necessarily the two-tailed cat, such as the NekoNekonomi, okay? All right, so to basically simplify what I'm basically getting here is like that Nami getting the NekoNekonomi and having like a mythical type mythical lion type would be very interesting, all right? And we do know necessarily that Nami's main battle strategy is most focusing on thunder and lightning, okay? Now, when I was basically doing some research, I actually came across a few things, all right? I discovered that despite, the two famous animals in Japanese mythology having multiple tails, such as the Kyubi no Kitsune and the Nekomata, there were other varieties of animals as well, all right? One particular is the Raiju, all right? Now, Raiju can basically translate into Thunder Beast. Now, what is this creature exactly, right? Well, the Raiju is basically a companion of Raijin, okay? Raijin being a god of thunder, all right? Basically the thunder god, okay? Now, this is something very interesting to think about, okay? Now, does everyone remember when an SBS came by and someone asked what Delph fruit Nami would have? And Oda said that he would give her the NekoNekonomi, which is basically Inaru's Delph fruit, okay? Now, basically, let's think about this very carefully, all right? Oda said Nami would have the NekoNekonomi, okay? Inaru was basically established with the lightning god abilities and even had like the drum banging things on his back and stuff like that. And even the god of Raijin is even established with these things, all right? That's something to go, right? So you can see a pretty interesting connection here when you basically think about that and you see the category and the connection between that, all right? Right? And now keep in mind that the Thunder Beast can be depicted as any animal that has been ever described, right? I believe the most common animal that has basically been featured for the Thunder Beast, or basically Raiju, has mostly been like a wolf or some kind of a dog in a way, but it has been described that it can be any animal that a person chooses, okay? So it can be such as a cat, a badger, a tanuki, a fox, a monkey. It could probably be anything, right? And if Oda chooses to go with the cat category or more of a lion, you can see a bit of a situation. You can see a bit of an idea, okay? Now, there is something very interesting to go over, okay? Now, let's look at the Japanese way, look at the way to spell lion, okay? So, there are two ways to necessarily spell lion, right? But the interesting one I want to go over is basically the more of the English, based off the English spelling of lion into Japanese, okay? That's what I want to look at, all right? So, that would be R-A-I-O-N, okay? So R-A-I-O-N, and that would be Ryan, okay, Ryan. Now, that's something very interesting here to think about when you look at it, okay? So the first three letters of Ryan or basically lion in Japanese is R-A-I, okay? Now, Rai can actually translate into thunder, okay? Rai can actually translate into thunder, okay? And usually lions have been depicted as being like king of the beasts or like king of the jungles, okay? And you can see a bit of a situation there that, giving Nami a royalty kind of animal in a way, the fact that she's basically referred to as like, and people want her to be like queen of the pirates or even like giving her as like a goddess status really fits a good idea when you think about it, okay? Another thing I want to go over here is that I thought of like, what if Oda does something interesting here by taking the concept and adding like multiple animals into one category, all right? And another animal I thought about this was the Japanese gnu, all right? So a gnu is basically a chimera. It's basically a Japanese chimera that usually has like, it's usually depicted with multiple animals and stuff like that, but the defining of like which animal really comes up against the person, basically featuring this character into their own concept, okay? Usually in most cases it has like the head of a monkey, sometimes like the body of a tiger, and sometimes the tail of a snake, all right? Like the head of a snake, like for the tail, okay? That's usually what it's basically defining. There are other animals as well and stuff like that, but let's just take it to let's just try and keep it simple, okay? And another interesting thing about the gnu is that it says that it has the ability to turn into a cumulus thundercloud, okay? Now, this could be very interesting here that when you think about it, that one of the main concepts of the body for a gnu is actually a tiger, right? Or even, like, you can probably even use a lion if you want, okay? So let's think about that very carefully in that, all right, so if we're going to go with the concept of a lion, all right, a mythical lion, such as like a white lion, all right? A white lion would probably be very defining and mythical, all right? Right, and the fact that we're basically going over it is we can basically combine like a two-tailed lion. So basically, we have a combination of a Nekomata, Nekomata, plus Raiju, and a gnu. That's literally like combining three Japanese mythical animals into one, while sort of combining it and making the actual animal. Well, the actual mythical animal, a white lion, all right? So that would be insane, all right? And could Oda do this? most likely, all right? Oda has taken other concepts and made a bit of a combinations for them and like that. He's basically taken great ways to establish a great storyline to this, all right? Let's look at Kaido's Devil Fruit, for instance, all right? Kaido's Devil Fruit is the fish fruit model Azure Dragon, all right? Despite him being allowed to turn to dragon, it is basically called the fish fruit, right? And this actually comes, the Azure Dragon is actually one of the Chinese 4 constellations, along with the Byakko, Ginbi, and the, crap, what was the other one? I forgot the other one. The other one was like basically that bird and stuff like that. Not to be confused with Marco's Devil Fruit, the Phoenix, all right? But the vermilion bird, all right? But I'm forgetting the Japanese name for it. It was basically referred to as the vermilion bird. All right. Okay. So going over that, basically everything I just established, okay? So yeah, so think of it as like a bit of a combination, right? And I feel like Oda can work with it. I feel like it could really work, and it does sound pretty interesting, okay? So yeah, so going over it and thinking about it, it feels like it could work, right? And it, when you look at the naming scheme of it and how well it fits, it does seem to match the very specific reason on why this Devil Fruit or why this could work for Nami in that case, all right? It feels like it could work, and I feel like I can accept it. So yeah, so that would be very interesting, and it would fit very well with having a dynamic between Nami and countering Devon, having a very epic fight, 2 versus 9, all right? And another thing to point out here is that it is said that the Nekomata can even go up to 7 tails, all right? Now, 9 is still higher than 7, but you never know like how Oda will basically do this, okay? And that could be very well established, right? So yes, it's something to like really think about, and something very interesting in here is that could actually work, and I feel like it could be very well established, right? So Nami with the NekoNekonomi, me basically being like a 2-tailed lion. So let's think about this. Very interesting here. So we have Karina Devon on. All right. So we have Nami with the NekoNekonomi mythical model. Let's see. Mythical model Futami, or Nibi. Yeah, let's go with Nibi. Lion. Nibi no Lion. Alright, so yeah, so basically, Nibi no Ryan, and let's say that the that Ryan is spelled with the Rai part is actually spelled with the Japanese kanji for Rai being thunder, or another way to translate it would be like Kaminari, okay? Okay, and then basically spelling out with on, so making it like instead of, like you wouldn't translate it as Kaminari in, and you would still translate it as Rai-un, but to basically see the thunder in there. So basically be like the 2-tailed thunder lion, all right? Basically the thunder lion, all right? So basically like, hey, I feel like we're getting a Thundercats here vibe, all right? Like seriously, like Thundercats roar! All right, so yes. And we also have the InuInunomi mythical model Kyubi no Kitsune, basically the 9-tailed fox, all right? So we have a 2-tailed lion versus a 9-tailed fox. Lion versus fox. Now, if any case, in actual situations and stuff like that, a lion can basically tear apart a fox, right? A lion is actually could totally demolish a fox, right? However, we're talking about mythical animals here, right? And in the hands of like One Piece pirates and like that the concept of animals and like how they're portrayed in the One Piece world is totally different in reality. All right, let's just get that straight. All right, so after going everything in the video and everything I basically presented here and everything I basically discussed and why the idea of this can be presented, okay? So yeah, so that is basically the idea of the concept I'm going over here, and basically everything I'm explaining here, and why a 2 versus 9 can happen, and why it will happen, okay? Now we just gotta wait for the fight to finish, okay? Now, as I said before at the beginning, alright? Please, place your comments down below on who you think is going to win. Will it be 2 or 9? Whose side are you on? Are you on Team 2 or Team 9, alright? And everything I just established in the video, keep in mind, everything I just said, are you Team 2 or are you Team 9? Are you on her side or are you on her side, alright? Let's see whose side are you on. Will it be 2 or 9? 2 or 9? Alright. So yeah, so that is basically the concept of the video. Everything I basically just discussed. Could it happen? Will it happen? Should it happen? I don't know. But am I okay with it? I'm perfectly fine with it. I've been well established by it, okay? So yeah, so that's literally everything I got for the video. That's pretty much anything. I can't think of anything else I might have forgot. I feel like there are some other things I could probably mention, but that's really the main category that I have to go over. So yeah, so I guess to basically end it off, officially end it off, I'll show another picture of Nami. So hey, since this is basically to give Nami a good reason, a bit of a Nami video, here's a picture of Nami. I hope you enjoy it. So hey, enjoy that Nami picture. Okay, so yeah, so that's it for the video. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me for this bit of a talk of a situation. I know it's been like 13 or 14 days since I last made a video and stuff like that. I tried to get a video out before, but I was really trying to like get this. I was really trying to get the idea and concept of this video I was working on. I was really like trying to go over presenting the concepts and everything I was going over. So I want to make sure I had everything just right. Even though I feel like there's something that I'm forgetting, some things I'm missing, but I feel like I've gotten enough to basically go over my points, okay? So, yeah, so that's basically all. I would probably mention that I'm not sure if I will necessarily keep doing the chapter reviews and stuff like that. I might actually just read the chapters, and I might just like sort of give my overall opinion, just make like a simple video that gives my overall opinions on like what I like about it, like how it goes, instead of actually doing like how I usually been doing it. But I might still do something things like that. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do other videos just like that, how I can. And so yeah, so that's basically all. So hey, if you enjoyed everything I had to say about this video, if you had anything I liked or anything you noticed that you felt like was a great idea, please let me know by leaving a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Okay. Also, I know I said this before, but I'm just gonna say it again. All right. Whose side are you on? Are you on Team 2 or Team 9? All right. Come on, this fight is not going to end until we know whose side you're on, okay? Also, if you enjoyed the video so much, please let me know by smashing the like button, alright? That's very important, alright? You can also subscribe to the channel, alright? That's very important, alright? There are other things you can do to let me know if you enjoyed the video, okay? Just do those things, and hey, we'll all have a great day. So, yeah, so that's it. Bye. Thank you.